Hampshire, one of the New England states, has only 18 miles of seacoast between Maine and Massachusetts. The drawbridge over the Piscataqua River connects New Hampshire to the state of Maine. The old town, first called Strawberry Bank, later changed to Rivermouth, is now called Portsmouth. It was originally settled in 1623, 3 years after the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth. Long an active seaport, it now has an important submarine base and navy yard. Boulder Dam Point is just to the right here, where the deep river swirls out to the sea. If you ever rode a boat in this river, you would know why it has this name. Outfitting docks, and in the background the dry dock, where submarines are fitted out for sea. The large shed contains 3 marine ways on which the submarines are built. "209 is the number of the Sculpin, sister ship of the ill-fated Squalus, which made Navy history when it went down off this coast in 1939. It was raised only after months of heroic salvage work.
Then I had a Spanish girl, she nearly drove me crazy. We'll haul away, oh. King Louis was the king of France before the revolution. We'll haul away, oh. King Louis got his head cut off and spoiled his constitution. We'll haul away, oh. Oh, when I was a little boy and so me mother told me, we'll haul away, oh. That if I didn't kiss the girls, me lips would all go moldy. We'll haul away, oh. We'll haul away, we'll hang and hold together. We'll haul away, oh.
Portsmouth is famous for its old colonial houses. The Wentworth-Gardner House, built in 1760, is a splendid example of Georgian architecture. The tree is a linden, brought from England at the time the house was built. A beautiful example of the pineapple, symbol of hospitality. Market Square, dominated by the North Church, 1854. In the background, the Atheneum, built in traditional Adam style in 1803, now contains a library and a collection of ship models. In the old days, Market Square was the place where the farmers came from miles around, hitched their horses, and traded. Jacob Wendell's house on Pleasant Street, built in 1789. John Paul Jones lived here. He was the first to command a ship flying the United States flag, the Ranger, in 1777. Leaving as we arrived by the harbor, we go down the coast a ways. Waves break over the Bullfrog Rock, off Little Boar's Head. Many eminent residents have made up this summer colony for the past half-century. The house of ex-Governor Huntley Spaulding. Mr. Spaulding has had the honor of being twice governor of New Hampshire. Malvina Hoffman, sculptor, calls on the Spauldings. House of ex-Governor Alvin T. Fuller of Massachusetts. His garden and farm are famous. Andrews by the Sea at Rye Beach, where the summer folk worship. Hampton Beach. Fishing was one of the first industries carried on by the early settlers. and men have been engaged in it down to the present day. These are the old fish houses along the stern and rock-bound coast.
Sally Brown, she's a bright mulatter. Way, roll and go. She drinks rum and chews tobacco. Spend my money on Sally Brown. Sally Brown, she has a daughter. Way, roll and go. Sent me sailing across the water. Spend my money on Sally Brown. Sally Brown, I'm bound to leave ya. Way, roll and go. Sally Brown, I'll not deceive ya. Spend my money on Sally Brown. Sally Brown, she's a bright mulatter. Way, roll and go. She drinks rum and chews tobacco.
An example of typical Yankee ingenuity, an early conception of a modern submarine, built by James F. Buckley about 50 years ago. The torpedo-like shell revolves while the interior platform on which the crew sits remains stationary. Propeller is at the stern. The fishermen are returning from their day's lobster catch. They throw them into a lobster car, a submerged boat, where the lobsters can be kept alive in seawater and yet not escape. When they are needed for sale, the fishermen pull them out. These little dories are the most seaworthy type of small boat for the heavy waves of this coast. Live lobster if you never saw one, and it may surprise you to know that it is green. They are boiled in large out-of-door kettles. Now they are red. Clams don't just come, you have to dig them. And clamming, like lobstering, is another waterborne industry that these seafaring folk have long followed. It is carried on mostly on the mudflats, exposed by the extraordinary tide of this coast. This causes tidal rivers to run far inland and irrigate the most famous salt marshes in the world. Laws restrict most of the digging, but Seabrook still digs between tides, summer and winter. hours of the dawn, the clams are put in bags and washed in seawater. They are brought directly from the flats to the shucking house, where they are prepared for market. Seabrook has the largest gladiola farm of its kind in the world. The fields are a glowing sea of color, with thousands of stalks in bloom. These have to be tended daily, cut, dug, dried, sorted, labeled, and again planted. Bulbs are shipped as far as New Zealand. Picking for the market is real work. Character study in faces and flowers. checking the bunches for market. Hampton Falls, the adjoining town to Seabrook. Memorial Clock. In 1638, the right was granted to build the first grist mill on the Falls River, provided the owners agreed to charge their fellow townsmen of Hampton not more than 1/16 of the grist for grinding. This is still the legal pay for a miller. Sawmills, bark mills, grist mills, and fulling mills on the 3 dams made Hampton Falls by 1776 the leading manufacturing town of the state. The house faces the marshes and the sea beyond. May we introduce you to Miss Frances Healy and her father, the descendants of the original owners of the mill. These are not cultivated, but wildflowers. Miss Healy taking the summer honey. She takes the cover off the beehive and smokes out the inhabitants, dulling their senses. She then removes the trays and pries out the honeycombs. Finally, she uses her best silver-handled hat brush to dust off the bees. Sheep. No special sheep, just woolly lawnmowers and hedge trimmers. Sitting on the porch after the day's work is over. The old stone ice house on the bank of the mill pond is converted into a chapel called the Little Gate to the City of Gladness. Hundreds come here to find peace and spiritual benediction.